Okay, yeah, I really like both of these chainsaws. I guess if I had to keep one brand, I guess it would have to be the Stihl for a lot of different reasons. You can still get all of your tools from your dealer right off the shelf to adjust your carburetor. Changing the bar and chain, a lot easier. I'm more familiar with doing all that stuff on the Stihl. I can easily pull my clutch drum off, grease my needle bearing, all that good stuff. This Husqvarna 450, a really awesome saw too. I do like it. I'll take the Husqvarna over the Stihl just on the fuel and gas caps. There's still a nice threaded gas cap, much less to go wrong. I do not like the new fuel and gas caps from Stihl. They're not exactly new. They've been using these for years now. They are kind of nice, you know. They are kind of nice to use. They pick up more dirt and debris. Not a big deal. They're more mechanical. They're more maintenance. Should have a few extra ones on hand anyway. The good old Stihls are still just a threaded cap with a nice O-ring right there. No mechanical parts to fail on you. That sort of stuff right there. Husqvarna has a factory failure on that recoil on the newer model 450 that I also have. I have the newer model. Good news is you can swap out the old part and make that durable again. You'll have to go down and see my Chainsaw Excellence playlist on my channel. You can also look up Chickanic. She did a video on that exact recoil problem that Husqvarna has with that model. The way that Huskies are designed, the engine always will grab the dogs and kick back against the recoil pulley and the rope when you shut the engine off. That's why you see the Husqvarna guys, they pull the rope out a little bit when they shut the engine off. Stihls will never ever do that. So just on the recoil issue alone, it's Stihl over Husqvarna. Stihls do not pull against the recoil when you shut the engine off. So you do not pull your recoil out a little bit when you shut the engine off on a Stihl. Completely unnecessary. I'm going to make a few cuts with these saws. I do love the Husqvarna 450 that I have. They're great performance. They got a great feel. Husqvarna's got a great little design. They kind of call it some kind of air injection thing. It is for the purpose of keeping the air filter clean. And it actually does seem to make a difference. I'll tell you that right now. This 450, it's got a great feel to it. I like the controls. All that stuff is good. Durability. I guess you can do all kinds of research and you can find, guys that switched from Stihl to Husqvarna. You can find guys that switched from Husqvarna to Stihl. So yeah, there's reasons for that. Do your own research. Time will tell. You know, I've only owned it for a year. I owned 2 Huskies for a year. I got such a great deal on them. And I seen other guys on YouTube running Huskies. So I decided, hey, if I get a really good deal on a Husqvarna, I'll give one a try someday. And here we are. So I'm giving these models a try. Let's get them started up. As far as starting, both saws are awesome. There's no starting issues with either a Stihl or a Husqvarna. Most models that you will try or own. First we'll cut with the Stihl. I'm going to make 2 ripping cuts and then a couple of cross cuts. Got to get that Stihl started up and warmed up. We'll show you the nice startup that it has. I don't need to, but there's the primer bulb in the choke. A little bit too cold for Okay, we'll just let that warm up for a minute or so. I'll usually like stick my finger right on the cooling fins, and when I feel some warmth, then I start doing some gentle cutting, and then eventually up to full throttle. That's how I warm up a saw. Okay, we're getting warm. Just like that. Okay, we'll get this Husqvarna in some ripping cut there. This one's going to be a little more difficult. There's some knots in that log that you see right there. Get it started up and warmed up. Choke position. Primer bulb. Okay. Let that warm up for a few minutes. Hopefully, I got enough storage for this video. All right, let's cut. Okay. Yeah, you can see that Husky just ripped through that like nothing. It was amazing. It really is an awesome saw. That could have been a little bit pulpy. Maybe we'll see in the crosscut. I may have to do a little bit of chain work on that Stihl. Maybe get those rakers a little more aggressive. That may have something to do with it, but the Stihl either got a really tough piece of wood or something like that. I got to tell you, I believe I've got a much more aggressive chain on that Husqvarna than I have on that Stihl 250. So that's probably a major factor. X-Force it's called on the Husqvarna. And the Stihl 250, definitely not as aggressive. Okay. And this is my belief on this. The rakers on this Husqvarna chain are just set ahead, a little bit farther ahead of the cutter. I think. I don't know for sure. Definitely a difference in the design. They're both very sharp. They're both good chains, but yeah, that Stihl is just a lot slower. And I think most of it's due to the chain. Chain has a lot to do with it. So we could get a more professional grade chain on that Stihl, and you'd see a lot better performance out of it. Let's get the Stihl in the crosscut. I'll let the Stihl do this crosscut. It's a bigger piece over here for the Stihl. Let's take the Husky right through that son of a gun right there and see how that goes, okay? Let's get it done. Okay. All right, there we have it. It's a really tough decision, when it comes to recommending, which is the better brand, which is the better saw. You have to own it for like 20, 30 years to really know for sure. I have an 029 Super. I bought it in 1999. To this day, it's still rock solid. Fantastic saw. As far as the power and performance, it kind of isn't fair. That's a 50cc, that's a 45cc. And I do believe that chain is a little bit more aggressive just in the design. It's not that my chain is dull. It's that it's probably a very mild, extra safety chain. safety, more safe for the operator, which is why that Husky just feels so good in the rip and just all around cutting. This is good. This is really nice too. You know, I love my Stihls. So yeah. All right, I'm Dead Wolf. I'm out. We'll have this kind of fun on the next one. Till then, take care, everyone. Thanks for being there.